You're listening to Stories Behind the Songs with Chris Blair. For more information, check out chrisblair.com. Hey everybody, in this episode, I'm going to get to sit down with a good buddy of mine, Phil Barton. Phil has been playing the listening room since about, I would say, 2007, 2008, something like that. And he's just a great guy. We've been dear friends since then, since I met him. And he's got so much success. He hails to the U.S. from Australia. He used to be in a children's band in Australia called the Glower Pot Gang that has sold over 400,000 units. He's got 85 to 90 kids records that he's done, including some monster hits for things like Bob the Builder, Thomas the Train, great children's books like that and shows. He's got a lot of success in Canada as well as the U.S. He's also a regular at the listening room. I think now he's played well over 300 shows in the last 5 years alone. It's a great episode. We are going to talk about how he got to Nashville. We're going to talk more about the stories behind the songs of those children's songs like Thomas the Train, Bob the Builder. We're going to talk about his international success as a songwriter and the story behind his first number one song that he wrote for Lee Brice called A Woman Like You, along with some other great things and other number one hits that he's had since then. So tune in. This is a great episode. Here we go. Phil Barton. Hey guys, this is Chris Blair, and we are back with another episode of Chris Blair's Stories Behind the Songs, and I am so happy to have our guest with us today, Phil Barton. What's up?
Morning! Woo!
Man, it's a long time coming. I'm glad we finally got this going.
Dude, it's good to be here.
Yeah,
it's
man.
Good to see you. I feel like the world moves so fast and we don't get to say hey. Like, I see you in passing and we just don't get to talk. So
I know, man. It's usually like shows and we're like, I'm like, hey, have a great show, or that was a great show.
It's in and out, and there's people everywhere.
Yes.
And give a hug and goodbye.
But now I've got you locked in on the couch for the next 30 minutes to an hour or whatever.
Woo!
Yeah. Well, this is Stories Behind the Songs, obviously. So what I want to do is kind of go back, we've known each other, gosh, it's got to be 10 years now, something like that, close to it.
I bet it's even more. When did you?
Yeah, actually, yes, because we did something similar to this about 5 years ago, and I knew you for a long time then. So yeah, it's got to be close to 15 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been in this new location for 6+ years. So
you have?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Gosh, when were we up at Cummings Station?
That was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. But anyway, long time we've known each other.
A long time.
And you've got a very cool story that I just want to go back to kind of the beginning because I just think that the way that you grew up in Australia, looking at Billboard every week and just just music's always been in your soul.
Yeah.
You went to school in Australia for vocals, if I remember correctly, and then switched to songwriting.
Yeah, I studied at a place called Southern Cross University. There was only one contemporary music course, and I basically went and studied vocals, realized, I wasn't the greatest singer. Like, I wasn't on the level that, that a lot of the great singers are. So somewhere along the way, I just wanted to write songs for those great singers. So that's basically how that started. But yeah. And it worked out. And you kind of, what's really unique that you don't hear a lot of people talk about, like that you did, is you kind of got your start writing a lot of children's songs. Yeah.
And talk about that, because you had some huge success before you even came to the United States.
Yeah, it's crazy. I guess at university you're like, how am I going to make money doing this music thing? And just as a independent study, I did a little project of children's songs, and that was fun. I just did it as fun and see where it went. And we got record company interest straight away from a label, Polygram Records, at the time, that was still open. And all of a sudden it was like, let's take this seriously. And ended up chasing after the biggest label in kids music in Australia, which was ABC, and landed a record deal, and away we were. I was in a band called the Flower Pot Gang.
Yeah, Flower Pot Gang, yeah.
A kids band, and we
toured all over the world,
we basically
really, right?
toured, yeah.
Yeah.
We toured and toured and toured, and we were lucky enough to get on some big bills with, like, obviously the Wiggles were a huge kids act, and we toured, like, Bridgestone size arenas with Thomas the Tank Engine and all this sort of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I wrote some songs that were in the Bob the Builder live show and all these things, and it was just fun. And we did albums, and then after the band fell apart, I still kept doing records for different projects for kids songs. So I'd do a record about monsters, and then I'd do dinosaur songs and wizard songs and whatever, traveling songs. Like, I just kept doing kids records, and I loved it. But
Didn't
it taught me a lot.
like something like 90 records out, or like close to it?
Yeah, it was like 87 records,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and that's like, there's a bunch of projects I did that were actual. Christine Anu, that's a massive Aboriginal artist in Australia. I did a record with her, and some lullaby records with some celebrities down in Australia, and it was just fun. Like, I just was loving writing these songs, and that was more the addiction to writing songs,
Yeah.
and that really, sent me on my journey to where's the best place to write songs, and that's Nashville, So
Yeah.
I ended up here. So
Yeah, we met when Listening Room was back in Cummins Station.
yeah,
And you were, you still play all the time.
yeah.
But man, back then, like, I mean, you were playing at least once a week.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went back and looked, and when we did a similar podcast to this, like 5 years ago, we celebrated your 300th show at
Yeah.
the Listening Room 5 years ago. So I don't
Yeah.
even know where we are now, but
I feel like we're right there at the 400. So
it's got to be. Yeah.
I mean, it's right
Yeah.
there, and maybe it's past, but I'm kind of like, yeah, we need to put on a 400 soon.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, over a 10-year, 12-year period, just the great place where, I get to spend these awesome nights just with the crowds at the Listening Room. It's pretty special, actually.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you, man. Yeah, you've been a workhorse since the day I met you, man. And like, even as you were in town, I think you would write on average, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember on average, like when you first moved here, you were writing at least a song a day, pretty much, if not two or three. And I mean, and then you'd go to shows, and all while the only transportation you had was a moped at the time. Like,
That's
true.
true.
Like,
A
even
little
in the winter.
scooter.
The
I was
scooter I stole from you.
inspired in Key West, I think, to get a scooter. But yeah, it was weird. Like, moving here, it was, like, we drive on the opposite side of the road, so it just wasn't second nature to be in a car. So I ended up getting a scooter, and on the riding side, there's different approaches for different riders, I think. And for me, what works is just riding, and you're trying to get those great songs. And for me, it's all about writing a lot of songs, and I'll get great songs in the mix.
Yeah.
There's some people that just write great songs every day, and that's amazing. But for me, I got to work hard to get the great songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, I got to, and honestly, like, it's kind of like, I wasn't dating anyone, and I just could roll to another write, and we were having fun writing songs at night, like, just with different people. And Low Cash and Jaron Boyer and all these people that, I was writing with at night time, and it was just fun, So, that's why I was writing so much. It didn't feel like work. It was like more just we were hanging out, and songs came, and I would miss having that song in my life if I didn't have it. So that's why, we were just working hard, but it was more fun, and the hang was the important part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge part of what has made you so successful. Obviously, your talent, you're an incredible songwriter, and you're obviously doing what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
But, you busted your tail, and wrote, we as writers talk about all the time, you got to write 100 songs to get one good one.
Yeah.
And, that's now, now looking back, you've got cuts by Priscilla Block, who actually used to work with us here at the listening room.
I remember her all the time. She was here, and what a bowl of delight. She's such a great person, and when she got a record deal, like we ended up writing with Liz Rose, my publisher, and ended up getting a song on the record, and it's so great to see her doing so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Priscilla, obviously Lee Brice that we're going to talk about in a little bit, Eli Young, Sarah Evans, Low Cash, Dustin Lynch. I know I'm forgetting some, but I mean, just, tons of great people.
Yeah,
and Canadian.
It's crazy to think about, like when you actually think about it, like all these people that have recorded your songs. And I've been lucky enough with the international
10, 11 top 10s now.
Yeah, I think 15 Canadian top 10s, and Australia's been awesome. Obviously, it's my home country. I mean, last year I think I had 6-7 number ones in Australia, and that's, I mean, any cut's amazing. I feel like it's an honor, like to be a part of someone's dream and their journey. It's like pretty special. So
yeah. So let's go back to, that time where like you decided, like, obviously the kids' songs and all of that was a part of the journey.
Yeah.
But I know that a band that I grew up loving as well, that was a big part of your move and all that, NXS.
NXS, yeah. I mean, I just remember being 13 years old and just rocking to NXS in my bedroom, like on the Ghetto Blaster. And, I feel like it's really special what a band like that does. Like the Kick album just grabbed me and made me want to play electric guitar, and made me want to rock, and made me want to write songs and get on a plane and move to America and work hard to try and get number one song in America. That's what a record like that does. And we've all got different records that do that for us, but just a group of Australian guys that just took on the world and won. It's just really special. And now, I would call Andrew Farris, who wrote all those songs with Michael Hutchence, and he phoned me one day, and now we're friends, and me and Bruce Wallace wrote a song with him that was one of his singles, and I've got to play a bunch of shows with him. I got to bring him here one day, actually, because he's a great guy, and he comes to Nashville a little bit, and I think he'd love playing here one night. So, and it's pretty amazing, like when he does like Never Tear Us Apart or Need You Tonight songs. I mean, Need You Tonight was the first single, and it was on a record that I ever brought, and to be on the stage with him. And
wasn't that their first number one too?
That was the first number one, and that was the one that, I think just
such a smash, man.
It just changed my life. And how do you say that to a guy? Like, thank you for inspiring me to do what I do. And honestly, I get to live my dream life right now and write songs, and I've had publishing deals in Nashville for like 12, 13 years now. And, it's all because these things all made me do what I do. And, how do you say thank you to people like that? It's like really special.
This episode is brought to you by Brit Skin Beauty. Located in the beautiful Indulgence Medi Spa in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, Brittany is the go-to esthetician for facials, dermaplaning, microdermabrasion, waxing, lashes, and any skincare products and consultations. So many people in the music industry use her frequently, and her work speaks for itself. To schedule your next consultation or make an appointment, visit britskinbeauty.com or send an email to britskinbeauty@gmail.com.
So, I mean, you growing up in Australia, get to see that happen. It just, feeds this fire within you.
Yeah.
So college, the kids' songs, the tour, all that lands you in Nashville. Talked about you worked your tail off getting all that. So I kind of wanted to kind of just go over all of that stuff just so all the listeners kind of knew the story getting you to town, right?
Yeah.
And then I've heard this story 100 times, but pretend that you haven't told me. Pretend like we just met, because I don't want you to leave out any details. I love how this song happened, but you got together with another couple good friends of mine.
Yeah,
and you. I'm going back in the vault here a little bit. So if I get some of these details wrong, correct me. But I think it was Johnny Bulford that scheduled a write with you.
Yeah.
And he double booked and also scheduled a write with John Stone.
Totally.
Then you end up together. Is that right?
And the three of us end up together.
So take me from that, and we are getting into the story behind the song of A Woman Like You.
And it's crazy because, like being an international, like we've got to get these visas to be able to be in America. And my visa was running out after 3 years of being here. And I seriously, it was at a point where if I didn't get it early, I was going to have to leave the country. But this is, just something else about it. And it somehow came early. So all my rights the next week and the months after, I was going to have to cancel and go back to Australia because, I wasn't going to be legal. And you just can't risk something like that because it puts a black mark in, and all of a sudden you're not allowed in America. So anyway, luckily my visa came early. I had this write with Johnny Bulford on the Monday or Tuesday, and I got there and Johnny wasn't anywhere to be seen, and I saw John Stone, and we'd written once before and said hey, and we find out that we were both supposed to be writing with Johnny, and and so that's cool, and we're waiting around, and we can't get a hold of him, and time's passing, and me and John end up in a room just strumming our guitars, and basically, we can't get Johnny at all. So we start kind of on the song, and John's playing that cool riff, and we're singing melodies over each other, and like very stubbornly, John loves his and I love mine, and finally we agree upon a melody, and we're and time's going by and we still haven't heard from Johnny, and I think it was like seriously an hour and a half or something like that when he texted us and said, hey, are you guys there? Sorry, I slept in. And so anyway, we were like, yeah, get your butt here. And he did. And it was all perfect timing because I think we probably wouldn't have happened upon this melody if Johnny had been there at the start. But he got there. And, the great thing about a great song is I think it's like when everyone's strength comes together on a song.
Yeah.
And I feel like Johnny got there at the right time. We all hammered that lyric on the vibe. And we weren't writing to a title. It was just like we were just writing the situation, I think. And we hammered it, and all of our strengths are in that song, and that's what made this beautiful magic moment. And we just worked all day on it, and to the point where I think John's girlfriend he was supposed to go and pick up, and he was like, "Look, I'm making $1 million here," and anyway, we wrote and had dinner that night. I mean, it's kind of weird, like. We knew we'd done something pretty cool, and yeah, I mean, wouldn't change it for the world. It definitely changed my life, that writing that song. And
yeah, I remember, this was back in my crazy days of going out and partying, long before kids and marriage. But
yeah,
I remember we used to all hang out at this place called Losers in Midtown, which is still a great place for locals and now a lot of people. But
yeah,
I remember being there, and I think at this point, because I want you to tell the story of how quickly it happened, because it doesn't happen that quick. But but with this song, I think it was the day or two after that you had it. But this was like probably a Thursday or Friday that I remember being at Losers hanging out with John. And he was like, "Dude, you got to come out and listen to this." And he took me outside into the parking lot in his old Jeep that, we sat, and he turned up. He played this demo that wasn't Lee. I don't even remember, if it was you or him. I don't remember. I think it was probably him. But this demo, he's like, "Dude, you got to hear this song." And he's like, "This is